Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I saw something yesterday, and it clicked in my head that this seems so much like a big scam on, the people I've been talking about, the ones who are begging, e-beggars they call them, and the grifters, swindlers, con artists, scammers. There's so many names from charlatans, different types, but still. And they have those ones that are the reaction channels that do the same kind of thing. And on, different names for them. And basically, something dawned on me, and I went, just wait a minute. Let me get to that. But first, I want to say, I have been on YouTube making videos. I was on it before I made videos, but making videos 11 years. In August was 11 years. And not long after I started making videos, I started seeing these people who would do these kinds of things. They would say, they come up with some tragic story. It wasn't a huge one. Well, it depends on, your mileage may vary on that. But they would say things like, I need, my grandmother, my mother needs a furnace, or she's going to freeze this winter. And I said over time, it didn't take long over time. It was like right away that these are scripted. Like, they have a script and they pretty much follow. They do it a little different because they are different people in different situations. But they'd say things like they need money for food. They don't have food to feed themselves. And if they had kids, even if the kids were adults, I can't feed myself and my kids. And, cars break down. Just so much variety of what they needed help with. I mean, a lot. And back then, the communities were kind of really closer, tighter, in my, way I saw it. I mean, see it now. Back then, they were really tight. And so it's kind of like you would know pretty much everybody else involved, or somebody you knew them, and so on. It's like a townish kind of thing going on. And, yeah. And they would basically take care of themselves. The community, I'm not talking anything illegal or no bullying, or they would just, the people didn't fall for it. See, I don't want to say that because that's like blaming the victim. Because these people are master manipulators and they make victims out of people here and there and all that. But usually there was so much communication, so much of a community, that it was easier for each one to say, hey, don't fall for that. That's a scam. Like I would, somebody would tell me, well, no, they wouldn't tell me, but I wouldn't even tell them, but some people would, say, hey, look, I think this is a scam. People pay more attention. And then it went to brand, and what everything was talked about was brand. You're a brand, you are this, and that kind of fizzled out in a way. And then it went to shorts, and there were different things, but over the time, things change, okay? They're changing everything in life. It's amazing, let me tell you. And anyway, back then, it was close communities, so, that stuff wasn't going to flow. Now, it does, and it continues, Some of these people have been on there for years, and they're still, like 3 or 4 years, and they're still grifting. They're still doing the same thing. And they have reaction channels, and they're making money off of it. Same thing. Lather, rinse, repeat. You see? Okay, let me get to this part. There were two big ones that I remember. I mean, there were probably plenty more. But my little corner of YouTube, a corner of the world. Back then, and the last one, the first one is one I want to connect to what I'm seeing now, but the second one was basically this, when the heyday, I guess you call it, of people talking about narcissists. Everything was a narcissist. And they saw themselves as experts on narcissists. Okay. Charlatans much? But there were. I like that word, I'm telling you. I just like the sound of it. But, they, were snake oil salesman kind. They were, at first, I think some of them realized they can't call themselves counselors or therapists. Or, I knew one of them big time. She was calling herself a therapist and saying she was degreed when she was not. And I let her know, and so she stopped. But I think she tried. She tries other ways now. I don't know. I don't watch her. I just have, those recommended ones come up every once in a while from her reaction channel, the one that's reacted to her. But anyway, it was pretty big. And what had happened was, I had grown so tired of these charlatans, really. And I never really, I wouldn't watch whatever I was doing, whatever genre I was doing. I would not watch other people. But this one, I think stuff started getting recommended. That's usually how it happens with me. And I saw it as a big, major, besides what they were already doing as charlatans, there was a big, major scam going on. Okay, and I wasn't all that interested, all that into it. I was tired of them, that kind of thing. And I had my own life going on, But what was happening was, there was I think it came down to one man who was not exactly all that bright, but he was pretty good at the scamming. And he managed to get a lot of these charlatans. Okay, charlatans, some of them weren't. Some of them were just, people who wanted to talk about that. They didn't act like they didn't say, oh, because a lot of them would start calling themselves life coaches. Okay, send me money, I tell you how to live your life, kind of thing. Anyway, it's just so, like I said, I just didn't want to even care. But, I did care, but, whatever was going on in my life was more important at the time. It could have been health, I don't know. But, don't remember exactly when it was. But anyway, I would, something would pop up every once in a while. And then I think there was one day I checked into it. I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he wasn't so bright. But I checked, I went through to his website. I had my first computer in 1982. So I was real good at going around finding stuff. And he was scamming. Big time scamming the charlatans. I can laugh about it now. But they were falling for it. The people who were telling other people that they were so good because they had experienced it, that they were life coaches and they could tell people how to live their lives to where they wouldn't have narcissists in it. And the narcissists wouldn't get them. They were being scammed by a scammer. Sorry, I'm going to stop and laugh. Okay, now some of them may have realized, I doubt it, honestly do. I doubt that some of them realized this was a scam. I think they thought it was a good deal that they wanted in on. You see, there's okay, and I'm one who would say alternative way of looking at it. Yeah, it could be that they were scammers too. They wanted to be in on it. Some of them, they were fooled. Seriously. They were scammed to believing that there is this big thing that was going to happen and they were going to be a part of it and they were going to be speakers. And I don't know the whole gist of it. I don't remember now. They were going to be speakers and so on and so forth. And I was like, wow. They, in a way, I don't, like I said, I don't wish bad things to happen to anybody, or I don't really care for people to be humiliated. I did laugh because I think it's hindsight. Well, not exactly hindsight, but, you know, when you look at something, you say, well, I didn't go after vengeance, but they got what they deserved. You know, I don't know. You know, you could say God finally stepped in and showed them, you know, no, you're not all that. You know, some people who are more Christian, you know, who are Christian, truly Christian, not the ones that are Christians on Sunday and all day Sunday and Wednesday afternoon, and then hellraisers the rest of the week. You know, but true Christians would say that God stepped in and got his vengeance. And they were humiliated. They really were. I mean, the bad thing is some of them, you know, I saw as just somebody innocent, and they were degreed, and they weren't trying to be the you know, send me money type. They were just doing their videos, and they said, hey, yeah, they were speakers in that way, but they weren't making that kind of money off of it. They were making money on ads. They didn't have PayPals and all this stuff up to, send me money. And then they were just saying, hey, this is good. This is what the world needs, is people talking about this, having key speakers and such, and or speakers, you know, lecturers, whatever. You see what I'm saying? Now, let's go to the first one. The very first one, I was like, you know, I was green to YouTube, to videos, to people, and I didn't know all these people because I was new to YouTube. And it's so 11 years on YouTube making videos. Was on there before then, but I didn't know about all this stuff back then. But 11 years ago, and I started hearing about these scams and stuff, and there were little ones. This was a big one, and it's a close community. But what it was I think it started off with two women who had been making videos, and then they got into an argument with one another. And this kind of thing happened more than once. Okay, this part. But it didn't reach that big proportion, or at least I didn't stay around long enough to see. Okay, I stopped, and then just like not even a minute later, Adam come through the door, front door. You know, I'm outside our house, and he was in the entranceway of our door, you know, to go in. It's not really a porch or anything, but he started dancing, disco dancing. I was cracking up because I was acting like I was taking pictures of him, and it was cracking me up. But anyway, he's going to get the mail, I guess. Maybe going for a walk. But back to this, the first one. Now to get to the first one. And it was big. Like I said, there was some also around that same time. But this one is basically, it started off with two people. I didn't know them. A lot of other people in the community did know them. And they knew the history. And these two women, they just didn't like one another. And then they were talking about other websites. And no, people didn't know those other websites and stuff. Other channels, or not channels, but media. It was more of an older type typing. I mean, text, this kind of stuff. Okay, so, you know, so there was stuff that they were talking about that nobody could really go and check, because it was like, oh, this person sent me this, you know, whatever it was, but it was all text. Anyway, and they were having fights, arguments with one another. Well, people were saying all they're doing is trying to get more subscribers so they can get more money. You know, they were you know, monetize their channels. They wanted, you know, more and more people, so they were starting this kind of, they said it was this, you know, like along the line of a scam, and getting people, drawing people in, and before you know it, it just got huge. Lots of people were you know, reviewing, doing the they weren't calling them this back then, but a lot of people were reviewing what they could find and, you know, putting it all together. People who were basically, you know, like they were part of the community and they really weren't into it. They didn't have their channels monetized. They didn't have that many viewers. And I remember one, she's still making videos last time I checked. And that was probably a year ago, within a year or so. And she just speaks a different language. But she, you know, she wasn't trying to make any money. And on, you know, people who weren't there, like me, I've never been here to make money, okay? It's just not my goal. And like I said, I use my videos to vent. I don't believe in keeping things bottled up inside. It's my way of journaling. I'm not telling anybody else to do it. Might actually backfire, you know, on some people. But it helps me. And to vent, you know, pressure release valve from stuff. And anyway, but you know, there were a lot of people who were viewers, you know, and that, you know, we were seeing it. And we're like, it was hard to make, you know, decision because a lot of the stuff was not on. Like I said, it was not on YouTube, so we couldn't really make decision. Is it a scam or is it something else? Were they really fighting? And eventually, it all busted up because they were caught. And they were caught that they were trying to make money. Okay. Now, making money back then was different than it is now. Now people have so many PayPals and, you know, they can, you know, back then actually people could pay, you know, online, but it wasn't that big. The audiences that were paying weren't that many. And that didn't come to a few years later, and then other type people, other type scams, or whatever, swindling, you know, grifting, whatever. Now, these two are the two that were big to me, because one was when I first started, and the other one was in the genre that I was in at the time. Okay, but I had heard of other ones, like there was some in the beauty community, there was some in the RV community, there were some in, you know, just variety, like what is it, the food delivery people, the people who are going to food pantries. These are the, you know, more recent ones I've seen, you know, so on and on. But this reminds me of what, like I was mentioning, something happened yesterday, and it dawned on me, you know, I don't get all that involved in any community anymore, and haven't for years. I've never been one to do like that. I've never been one to, you know, like they say, people go to work and they do teamwork. No, my experience with teamwork was there were a lot of slackers, and then the ones who weren't slackers, they were called bar raisers. You know, you're going to have a name on you no matter what. They were the ones having to do all the work, and the slackers were just, well, slacking. You know, so team, yeah. And community, I'm more independent. I am an independent all around. But anyway, this one is just, I've just been paying, you know, I've seen a few women, few people, really, because there was a man doing this grifting, this e-begging, you know, conning their audience for money, lying to them, on and on. And then I have a video, I haven't made it public yet, two of them actually, about things, and it's really weird because the videos I've made, that's what's happening. Before I got sick, you know, with what used to be, I don't know, I used to have this when I was younger, like a flu or cold, or the doctors would say allergies that would go on for like a month, and you know, different phases in a month. But that was all of September basically. But before then, I heard about this little community, another actual little community, and that's usually not a community. I mean, they're usually not communities anymore like there used to be. And it seems like they have a little community, and man, they are bashing two people, one male, one female, big time. It's not just reaction channels. You know, they have one that's, at least one I've seen, maybe two, that are like the more modern day reaction channels, where they actually show clips of the person or people doing the grifting, okay? And anyway, I can go on, and I'm like, at some point, then the other one, one of the ones I've been seeing, you know, talking about, without saying their name, without saying their channel name, I went, wait a minute now, okay? And she said something on her latest video, which I'm not always good at watching, you know, the latest video that day. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. You know, that's just how it is. I got a life outside of all this. And when I was sick so much, I wasn't paying attention much at all. I was sleeping all the time. But anyway, September, whew, wow, it was all a blur. But anyway, she said something on her video, the last one, and I went, wait a minute, no. And I think that's what it is. It's like that first one, with these two women, whether they're both aware of one another, or there's that word, am I using this word right? They're in cahoots with one another. It's such a cute word. That they're in cahoots with one another to just pull off a big scam. But the way it came to my mind is that not really wanting to pull, how do I put it? It is a big scam, but they're competing with one another to see who can get the most money for however long they're going to go. Which one of them can get the most money off of their audience? And I've seen stuff like that before. And which community was it in? I think it was the food delivery. I think it was going back to maybe 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. Yeah, I think it was. But it was, you know, different, of course. The things change as they don't go by. But yeah, I was thinking, these two might know about one another, or one at least knows about the other, and is competing to see how much they can grift, how much they can e-bag and get their audience, you know, make, their audience feels sorry for them. Oh, you know, I'm not blaming the audience, don't blame the victim. But they're trying so many different ways, especially the thing about being Christian, you know, get out their Bible and go through it, this kind of stuff. But I didn't watch much of the new one to me. I watched some that, you know, like from reaction channels or stuff like that keep popping up recommended. I'm like, they're doing like this. I mean, I've always said scripted all these years, but it was scripted in a way that really made me, it just hit me. They're competing. You know, okay, I don't know who you are. Go on, move behind me here. But they are competing with one another to see how much they can make a month or however long. I think they do it in a month. Maybe that's the way they get paid, some of it, you know. Okay, and then it's a big challenge for them. Of course, you know, they're not concerned about their audience and who they're ripping off, and who these poor people who are thinking they're really feeling, you know, they want to help these people because they don't have enough money for food, and they send them $2 and they're on their last $2. I mean, literally their last $2. They're on such a tight fixed income, they only have $2 to send. Yeah, it's just so sad to me. I'm serious, very sad to me. These grifters, e-beggars, whatever you want to call them, scam artists, they don't care. Don't care, as long as they're getting what they want. But these two are doing it in such a way that is so very similar. Like I said, I've always felt like it's all scripted. They do this, but this is big. Okay, this is big. It's all about them. So it's not like they have a group of people. Each one is an individual. And it's all about each individual to them, themselves. It's all about themselves with each one, not the other one. Nope, that's just my competition. Because I had made a comment on one of my videos. Well, she has competition now. And then later on, I heard her latest video. I said, whoa, she's aware of it. And that's what they're doing. That is disgusting. It's despicable. All of it's despicable. It really is. You know, scamming people. And just the games they play. It's just, man. But like I said, in the past, whenever they got really bad like that, it all got busted because people, you know, now that other one, that she does have reaction to, you know, there's actually two, but reaction channels, just people just say, like me, just talking about it, but they say the person's name and all that. I don't. And I have been feeling kind of alone in this. I mean, I know that there's some people who make comments on, like this one of them, there's more than one. They make comments, but she immediately deletes them. You know, in this day and age, you see a bunch of comments, like 100 comments, and all of them were good. All of them were saying, basically glorifying, okay, people, really, you know, this person, this video creator, you know that's not going to happen, right? This day and age, when so many people picking sides, I'm an independent, so so many people taking sides, this side or that side. Yeah, there's going to be people with different attitudes, leaving different comments, but she deleted them, and she puts up every once in a while some of them, like one on her video, and she badmouths them and makes them look like stupid, and she tries. But those of us, you know, I would say those on the other side, they know better, and me, independent, I'm like, right, I'm not that stupid. But she does think of her audience as quite stupid. So, you know, I've been sitting out here and anytime I have to stop, it's because I have to cough a little, you know, these allergies. But I don't know if it's allergies, you know, like I said, whenever they would say that I was having allergies, I'm like, that's what allergies does? I don't know about that. But I'm not a doctor, so anyway. But I want to see. But at the same time, I don't. I really, you know, I don't believe in wishing stuff on anybody, but like I said, I've been feeling alone in this. You know, I'm not trying to tell people, you know, I'm not pointing her. I'm doing the thing of saying, hate the sin, and this is the sin. And I'm really not doing that for other people. I'm doing it for me. Like I say, I don't try to twist people's minds. I don't try to tell them how to think. I don't give advice. I don't give any of that. I am venting. You know, so, but if somebody watched me and they were to sum me up, it would be, you know, if that in theirs, that's all on them. It's not on me. It's, you know, that's what it would be. Again, somebody behind there. Okay, every time I come out here, there's something going on. I'm telling you, my neighborhood must have a lot of fun during the day when I'm not out here. I mean, you know, it's not about me, but you get it. There must be a lot going on that I wasn't ever aware of. Yeah, but anyway, you see what I'm saying? So I'm going to probably, maybe, if I say that I'm going to continue talking about this, anytime I say I'm going to continue doing something or I'm going to change and do something, I wind up stopping. Seriously. Yeah. So, we'll see. Talk to you on another video. Bye.